Hello, I'm your host, Letitia Bishop, and welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast. If you love listening to beauty news and tips, we'd love you to subscribe and say hi to us over on Instagram. I'm a professional makeup artist and beauty writer. Today we have a guest, Justine Grier. She is a esthetician and commonly known as Skin Whisperer. Born in South Africa and then moving to Sydney, where she started working in the health and beauty industry. Over 20 years later, she's still just as obsessed about skin and helping people feel confident in their own skin. For now, she has been in Hong Kong for the last 14 years, and you can find her on Instagram at skinhq.hk. Welcome to the show, Justine.
Thanks, Letitia. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Justine and I met actually on Instagram.
We did.
Yes, and she invited me in for a facial, and we just had so much to talk about during the whole facial. I don't think we stopped talking.
I think we probably sucked the air out the room about all things skin and makeup. Yes.
I love that. Yes. She's so passionate about skin. I've never had a facial in Hong Kong that was, just I could chat with the therapist so much. And what I love about Justine's facials is that it's not just off a menu. You can't just kind of go, oh, I don't really know, I'll just pick that one.
I'll have number 32 on the menu, please.
Exactly. It's definitely not that about like that here. She is super tailored to your skin and your skin on that day and that moment. Correct. And does it exactly, to what you need then and there, which I thought was really beautiful. And just, I've not heard of that in Hong Kong here. Not many people do that.
It's nice to be a little bit different from the rest. And likewise, Letitia, it was great to have you in. I think your energy actually comes through on your Instagram page in a lot of your videos, and it's pure and it's refreshing and it's bright and beautiful to be around. So it's always great to have you in the space, and you're welcome in any time. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I think we'll have some good chats today.
Thank you. I'm excited. Yeah. So I just want to let you, Justine, share your journey and what led you throughout your career to be here today and led you to opening your own clinic. So take it away.
Oh, where do I start? I think I've always been obsessed with the beauty industry, and I still to this day will attribute it to my grandmother, Evelyn Dryman, back in the day, of really being focused and fascinated by my grandmother, always taking her time in front of this beautiful dresser, doing her makeup, doing her hair, doing her nails, sitting there with her fizzy vitamin on the side, which I always had to have a sip of. She always had to leave me a sip, but everything was so ritualistic, down to her little squirt of Paco Rabanne perfume at the end. I would always want to get involved and do her nails and wear her coral, I think it was like this coral pink lipstick and the sea green eyeshadow, and she had all these weird little tools in her drawers that now I know are like blackhead tools and extractors. But even back in the day, and we're going back a while now, I used to sit and play with all these tools, and she literally was a perfectionist in her field. She was always immaculately presented and immaculately dressed. And that somehow did not translate to my mom, who was definitely much more on the tomboy side. And so mum's been a work in progress when it's come to skin, and she's definitely made good use of me over the years.
My mum's similar. It's a work in progress.
And it definitely gives truth to the fact that it's never too late to start with your skin. And my mum has been an absolute prime example of that, and I think looks great for her age, all things considered. As Letitia said, I grew up in South Africa in the 1980s, and we were massive sun bunnies, where it was competitive tanning on weekends to see who could get the best and strongest tan line. I mean, baby oil was, everyone had been there and done that. I actually remember lying at my boyfriend's pool, and we had this idea that if you tanned with Coca-Cola on your skin, you would actually go the caramel color because it had caramel in it. And we would lie there and literally lather layers and layers of Coca-Cola on us, much to my boyfriend's father's dismay. He was like, if you dare get in my swimming pool with that on your body, you can pay for it to be cleaned. Yeah. But, growing up, we damaged our skin really badly. I remember on numerous occasions having blisters on my skin and falling asleep in the sun with my, I think they were called Discman then, or Walkmans then.
I had a Discman too.
Okay, you make me feel good. And I remember having to go to school for my high school photo book, my yearbook, and I'd had these blisters on my face from the sun, and my face was red raw. And I had to be in the photos because I was actually head girl of my school. Not a big deal, but I couldn't escape the photos that day. And I was at a co-ed multiracial school, which was quite unusual for South Africa. So we had skin of all colours in our school, but the photos were in black and white in our school yearbook. We weren't in digital colour print at that point. And they had me in the staff room, and they had me covered in wet tea bags, trying to calm my skin down.
That's nice of the teachers.
I literally was glowing like a traffic light, like amber and red. And when the yearbook print came out, I did not look of my Caucasian denomination because of my skin being so burnt. So for the amount of damage I did to my face growing up, there's always room to reverse and improve. So when people come into me feeling absolutely defeated, I know specifically you can fix it. Yeah, you can definitely make progress. You can definitely slow things down. There's so many machines and devices and ingredients and products available on the market these days that it can actually be really confusing to the consumer.
100%.
And I think finding the right person to guide you along the way, hold your hand, be honest with you, and tell you what is right for you and maybe where you're taking a risk. And if you want to do so, that's also fine, because things can get costly. And people are very driven by instant results now because of the injectable market as well, that they're kind of wanting that from a lot of the machines and products in the treatment room. And I think one of the biggest ways that I do manage my clients is realistic expectations. And I think if you can keep that even keel and that open, honest communication with your clients, you build up your loyalty and you build up your trust with your client. And
it's so true, the instant gratification that
it is.
People are asking for and asking you to recommend products for instant things. And I just find myself always saying to people, look, it's like the gym. You have to keep going back. You have to keep doing the work to get muscles or abs. If you stop, things are going to get worse, you know?
And I actually use that comparative quite a lot in the treatment room. Like with the gym, you can't go gung-ho. You can't be walking in expecting to squat your body weight the first time you do a squat, because you're going to injure yourself and you're going to have to take time off. I have a lot of my clients that want to go and bypass seeing a professional esthetician for recommendations on how to build up their skin to accommodate vitamin A, for example. So they'll go straight online, or they'll go straight into Sephora or another cosmetics store and go straight to your highest percentage, and they're going to injure their skin. There's going to be a macro trauma response, redness, peeling, downtime. And then they come in and they say to me, I'm allergic.
So yeah,
you're actually not allergic.
I'm allergic to retinol.
I can't do squats because my butt's allergic because it's sore. Not really. You just needed to start at a lower weight range. You need to start at a lower percentage, and you're going to go to a personal trainer to teach you how to do a squat. There is form to doing a squat. You're going to start at your low weights until you get that right. Then you're going to make a progression plan. And the same is with a lot of active ingredients in the skincare room. There will often be people that come in at their first appointment that, I want to have microneedling. My friend just had it. I love it. I want it. And I'm like, if your skin is not primed to be having a device of this sort, and your skin barrier is not healthy, your skin's not functioning at its optimal level, there can be a lot of aggressive downtime with these treatments, because you need to be working at a certain, a starting point at a certain base level. So let's do a couple of hands-on facials first. Let's review a little bit of your home care. Let's make some adjustments so your skin barrier and your skin's healthy and it's more ready to accept that. Therefore, your post-treatment recovery time, inflammatory response is more controlled, and we're both happier people. Otherwise, you're going to come back to me and say, number one, I'm allergic. Number two, you did something wrong, which I didn't. And I guess if I look back at some of the gurus that I've followed over the years, one of the biggest lessons I've learned was actually from Dr. Des Fernandez, who is the creator of a brand I don't stock, but there are many brands that I do speak highly of, but I can't stock them all, and that's Environ. So his history is he is a doctor, plastic surgeon in South Africa, and he used to provide a one-of-a-kind facelift in the world. People used to fly in for his facelift. But what he was finding with some people is he would perform his surgery and there would be post-op recovery issues, and he was finding that their skin quality wasn't where he wanted it to be or where it should be in order to have the surgery. So he started developing his own line of products and said, right, in order for you to have this treatment, my surgery, my one-of-a-kind facelift in the world, line down the street, I think of the first time Zara opened up in Hong Kong, and so you're going to have to use these consistently for X amount of time before you have my surgery. So he could prep the skin.
Get it.
Right, so improve in the cellular function of the skin, and so post-op recovery was a smoother experience both for himself and the client. And so when you're coming in for some of the devices that I have, whether it's Plasmapen, the microneedling with Dermapen, which I'm a huge fan of, you do need to prep the skin to a certain level. So you can't just walk in off the street expecting to start at hero. It's just like in office work. Sometimes you got to start in the mailroom. So that's kind of, skin's a journey, and people come in having pre-researched everything.
And they say, just want this one, let's do it.
Yeah, and sometimes they come in and the information that they have is like a bit of a jumbled puzzle. They've kind of got some of the information correct, but it needs to be reformatted for them. And, our clients come in at the moment, they're knowledge hungry and they're savvy. They've got Google at their fingertips. Come on, they've got Instagram. There's a lot of information out there that is not 100% on point, and there's a lot of misleading or conflicting information out there, so they get confused. I get confused sometimes by what I hear. I'm human too. So just reformatting that, helping them understand where they might be going wrong, and also complimenting them on where they have been going right. We've got to get that ebb and flow going, so we get what I call the Sudoku puzzle of their skin to work exactly right. We've got to get those numbers to work.
Yeah, I love that about you, how you just, it's very hostilic. It's everything is considered. You consider what they're using at home and what they've tried in the past, because a lot of people, I get invited to a lot of facials, and I chat with other skin people and I say, I'm going to try this, and they're like, oh, you can't do that, you're using retinol, you could have this reaction. I was like, funny, they never asked me this. Like, isn't that
a different, it's interesting in that, sorry to interrupt you, it's interesting there because there's a different way to say that. They go, in that case, you'd say, actually, if you are using retinol, what I would suggest, just come off it for 3 days before you try that treatment. Yeah, and that might be, something to consider. But
that's what I did.
People are very protective of, I find the local industry here is quite protective, and I think it's just the way that they are paid and incentivized, which is unfortunate because it then takes the passion out of their work and it makes it a job. And understandably, everyone's got bills to pay. I've always just kind of addressed my work slightly differently. Your skin is actually my client. You come with the skin. I've got to get your behavioral patterns and personality to work as well. Otherwise, I can't have access to your skin, right? So it's quite a multi-dimensional thing going on in the treatment room. And so it's, if you want to go and try a treatment outside, I prefer my clients let me know. I'm not offended. And you know what? Sometimes you want to go for a spa facial. You want the fluff, you want the this, you want the that. But I can also look at my client and say, listen, if you're going to go to the Four Seasons, I kind of know their menu. Let me have a double check, because I know there's going to be some brands your skin's not going to love. And then I know a couple that your skin will be totally fine with. Let me give you some guidance. Go and enjoy yourself. Don't panic. And if I know your skin's really reactive and fragrances are not going to work for you at all, go and enjoy a body scrub and a body massage. But I'd rather just, I'm not a competitive person, as I will often tell people, and I'm always here to support businesses out there. It's good to go and try something different. And if you've got a product that you're really married to at home, that is not one of my brands, I've got to sit there and say to you, keep it in your routine. unless I say it's an absolute. And an absolute is when I say to you, it is not for you.
Yeah, it's not doing you favors.
And if it's not for you, again, I'm going to say to you, you've worked hard for your money, or someone has who's bought it for you. Don't throw it in the bin. You've got skin from head to toe. You can do your arms, your back, your chest, your legs. No product should go in the bin unless it's seriously giving you what we call a reaction versus a response, which is obviously something that's going to put you in a doctor's room. So I'm very open-minded about what's out there. I like to go play. I'm a consumer too. I get a bit bored sometimes with what I have in here. I want to go play outside as well.
Good job testing products. I always say that to people when they're trying to find the perfect sunscreen. You know, it's a journey. You've got to, and if there's one that you don't like for your face, start using it as a body sunscreen. Don't throw it away. It's still protecting you from the sun.
And you're going to marry and divorce and have affairs on your products all the time. It's kind of like your hairdresser. You're always going to make your way back to something that you love, something that's worked for you, something that's either got an aromatic journey for you, it takes you back to a moment in time. I still use Clarence Beauty Flash Balm. There you go. Like, I mean, that's a golden oldie and totally gives away my age. I cannot divorce. I don't want to divorce. My brands carry their own primers. I still like my little Clarence Beauty Flash Balm, and it still has pride on my shelf. I'm not going to change that. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about the two popular treatments that you do here in your clinic, and then a new one that you have. So the Dermapen and the LED treatments are ones that I feel like you do a lot of and really are behind and support. Yes, yeah, exactly. I can see they're like your ride and die. You really recommend a lot of people, you know, when they're at that right time in their skin journey, the Dermapen and LED. So start with one and share with us about
It's
them.
funny. It's funny how devices and technology through this industry are ever evolving and ever changing. And we've kind of sadly lost Cosmoprof, the biggest cosmetic convention that was held annually in November, firstly because of the protests and now obviously because of COVID. Online is just not the same. But, you know, we do the best we can, and we're often exposed to new technologies through those avenues, but building up relationships through your partners, and I work very closely with my partners still in Australia in Skin Cosmetics and O Cosmetics, who were my original distributor and trainers for Dermapen. I now obviously work with the local distributor, Vidivasi. Having the relationships with people that introduce you to certain technologies can really make or break how you relate to them. And I've been lucky enough to have some of the best training, guidance, and gurus and coaches in my life, and it really does change your relationship with your devices. My confidence with Dermapen grew because of Dr. Andrew Christie and sitting his masterclasses repetitively. Every time I went back to Sydney, they'd be like, Justine, you've already done this class. Why are you doing it again? I was like, you know when you watch a movie and you remember some stuff, but you don't remember everything, and it pitches to you on a few different levels? I feel like I want to set it again. And they're like, okay. Third time, I want to sit the masterclass again. They're like, Justine, like, they probably at this stage think I'm a bit stupid. And I'm like, no, but when I come home, like, yeah, what is it that you're not getting? I don't have anyone whose first language English as a mentor in Hong Kong. So when I go home to Sydney, or when I happen to catch Dr. Christie on rotation for one of his masterclasses, even if I've sat it before, I just want to sit it again because it's being re-inspired by someone that you put on such a platform, and you kind of sometimes lose your words when you've been working in a monosyllabic country for a while. And so Dermapen, I mean, beyond what it does for your skin, which is amazing.
Share some of that. There's, I'm sure, many listeners that don't actually know.
So Dermapen actually falls under the microneedling technology base. Des Fernandez, who I mentioned earlier, who is creator of Environ Skincare, was one of the pioneers of microneedling. When rollers first came out, which a lot of people might know, it looks like a little wheel with pins on that you would roll over the skin. And the needles were a specific depth range on the rollers, and you'd have to roll over the skin in 4 different directions to absorb product into the skin.
but is commonly known as CIT, which is collagen induction therapy. So it's a microtrauma response on the skin in order to produce more collagen and elastin fibers. So the best way to explain that to someone is if you've ever fallen down, which many of us have, especially in Hong Kong, in a pair of heels on a night out, and cut your knee open. It's a macro trauma response to your body, that there is a wound or a hole in your body and it needs to send new collagen and elastin fibers to form a network or a matrix fiber network, a nice network of fibers to close that hole. And what we're essentially doing with microneedling is we're doing the same thing on the skin on a very microscopic, controlled level, in a way that we are able to deliver products into the deeper dermal layers of the skin where they are more effective. We are able to regenerate collagen and elastin fibers. We are able to work with peels that are designed by DP Dermaceuticals, namely the Uber peel, to work with conditions specifically like melasma and cloasma, which don't respond well to thermal heat therapies like IPL and laser. So there are many different conditions that can be treated with microneedling. With the modern day devices that are electric devices that have vertical oscillation needles that literally go up and down versus rolling across the skin, you're not left with the old style of scratching and tearing on the skin from pushing your roller too fast. The actual microchannels are open for about 6 to 8 minutes. So by the time you've had the treatment and walked out the door, your skin's completely closed over. Obviously, there's post and pre-care that we need to focus on, but I would leave that up to a consult with a client because those are individual when they come in. But the results that you can get with these devices are really amazing. They're commonly used. They did a lot of studies in clinics in South Africa for what we saw from a lot of the medical clinics using them for people who'd gone through windscreens and literally lacerated their faces, so for hypertrophic scarring. So the device that I work with is able to treat scarring, hypertrophic scarring. I personally won't treat keloid myself. I still believe in understanding where your jurisdiction lies as a therapist and an esthetician, and learning when to refer on and where things should be in a doctor's clinic or with a dermatologist. I have a huge amount of respect as where people should draw the line, and a lot of people don't. But these devices are amazing. I couldn't speak more highly on them. I think everyone should try Dermapen at least once. And my advice to a lot of my clients looking for anti-aging, if the skin is primed and prepped and we've got everything at a functional level, is to do one machinery or one device once a year, if not 2 different kinds, depending on your budget and time, because everyone's different. Because those are truly the things that are going to work on your collagen and your anti-aging. Hands-on facials have a cap. They have a limit. But this is my favorite device because it doesn't have boundaries when it comes to skin color.
That's right. Not like laser. And
correct. And it has less boundaries when it comes to having an outdoor lifestyle, downtime, and those type of things. So that's where I find it fits more into the majority of people's everyday lifestyle. And therefore, it is a very popular treatment and can treat body and face. Yeah. It's a firm favorite. I had actually a client in this week. It was really rewarding to see her just before she's off to get married in the US at what is called a micro wedding. I learned a new. A micro wedding is like 20 or less people. A lot of the venues overseas now, apparently, these lavish venues that used to cost a fortune to have 120 people, they're doing micro. You're only allowed to go for 4 hours, have a table. So she's going off to her micro wedding. Yeah, she came in really with a dull skin, an overall kind of ruddiness, a bit of melasma under eyes and pigmentation. It looks almost like where the sun catches around sunglasses all the time. And I was touch and go as to what to do. Short period of time. People never give you enough lead up before a wedding. And I had to sit there and go straight to needling, which is not always my modus operandum. But she had a healthy skin and she was game.
You were confident with healing time before the beginning?
She had she's very healthy to start. She was already on a good skincare regime. And I said to her, what does your fiance think? And I know when the husbands notice, I've done a good job.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a true.
And then when they don't notice, you're like, damn, what am I not doing right? Exactly.
Yes, it's hard to get the men to notice that you've done something different.
I think sometimes they're too scared to say anything because then they're worried about you
thinking, did I look that bad before?
Yes.
So in their defense,
okay, they just better not say anything at all.
Correct. Plead ignorance, just let them do what they need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then the LED technology that you mentioned, so that stands for light emitting diode. A huge shout out to the machine that I'm using is called Photon Smart. So thanks, Mum. My mum bought me my machine as a gift when I opened the business last year on the 2nd of June. And it was all consuming. It was my first big machine buy for the business, and I was really nervous. LED machines weren't really around in Hong Kong other than the home device masks. And we can speak on those in a minute because I know that you probably know a bit more about those than I do. But obviously the machines that we're using in clinic are a lot more powerful than the home devices. This one has interchangeable polychromatic shields, which means polychromatic, more than one color light. So the light shields that I'm working with are blue, red, and green, and they have what's called high intensity focused bulbs. The panels curve and go flat, which means you can treat individual body parts. You can treat burns on legs, you can treat back knee, folliculitis. So there's quite a few different conditions you can treat head to toe with just the machine. And I was just doing reading some clinical papers on it last night, trying to understand more about at what time of the day not to have blue light, which has been quite interesting based on the suppression of melatonin. And then I was reading quite a bit of research on the red light and how it improves our cognitive function. So it goes beyond skin. But it's been a huge benefit in the clinic. It's been amazing for the mask acne that we've been suffering with over the COVID outbreak and the pandemic period. It adds value to every treatment that you do. I've always kind of felt like I've cheated my clients by charging them for a mask that comes out of a bottle or a sheet mask that comes out of a sachet, when it's something, okay, you're not always able to buy the level of quality that we use professionally in a treatment, but it is something that you can go and pick up something quite sexy from Sephora and do at home yourself. I've always felt like I'm cheating my client by charging them for that in the treatment room, but I don't feel like I'm cheating them when I'm charging them for this at the end of their facial. Correct. So what that delivers from a cellular level and a cellular correction level, which my hands can't do, and something that it doesn't compare out of a bottle or a sheet mask, is a way to close a facial that it's a difference between having extractions and walking out looking like you've been stung by bees, and the ability to walk out and go back to work. So it's been a beautiful addition to the clinic, and I haven't looked back since the day it entered my clinic.
It's amazing for after having extractions and just coming out with looking like you've not had extractions. Your skin is so calm after LED.
The green light is amazing as well for anti-inflammatory. Again, the papers that I was reading on last night, a girlfriend of mine redirected me to some clinical papers to have a good read about last night. Got to bed at 12 o'clock based on that. It's just studies on burns. Yeah. So I had a client in with a really bad jellyfish sting. So whilst she was having her facial, I just popped it on her leg for her. And just the way it brings down the inflammation is really unbelievable. I've done a lot of stretch marks with the Dermapen in combination with the red light to activate. So they work together in combination really well. So yeah.
LED, you can't do it too much. It's so calming for almost is there any skin types that can't use LED?
Let me try and photographically read through the list of skin conditions that are presets on the machine. You'll have a giggle. So you go into your regular skin types, which is dry, normal, and oily in combination. Then you go into your next, which is your more advanced, which is pigmentation, scar and collagen correction, toning and tightening, and acne and blemishes. And you go into another one, which is a different advanced medical level, and it's got herpes, perioral dermatitis, eczema, the eczema I use a lot. It's a very comprehensive program, which is exposure to all the light spectrum, which I find works really well after dermaplaning with a blade, so you don't get any razor burn or razor rash. So when you look at all the presets that are predefined, then you can go in and manually set a program that's specifically designed to the individual. It's It's amazing.
It's for everyone almost, right? There's nobody that cannot.
And the home devices are great. Everyone's always asking me, which one should I buy? I'm like, speak to Letitia.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, can't speak to Letitia. Actually, someone I should have sent to you the other day. I always say invest in them, spend your money.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Invest in them,
Yeah.
but also be consistent using them at home.
Follow the manufacturer's guidelines. The biggest, so Christmas is a funny one in the treatment room. Everyone's like, oh, what do I get from my husband for Christmas? I'm like, spa voucher. Everyone's like, what do I want for my birthday? I'm like, spa voucher. They're like, but you already work in the industry, so I still want a spa voucher. Yeah. Exactly. The biggest thing with devices is you use them consistently for the first month. I know, in 1, 2. And then they become dust collectors in 6 months.
And then you say, oh, it didn't work. Well,
it didn't work, or you didn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Or you didn't work, or you didn't use it.
And then my clients will buy a new one. One of my clients bought a new one the other day, and she sent me the link, and she's like, how often do I use it? I said, what are the manufacturer's guidelines? I said, because all the manufacturer's guidelines are going to be slightly different. Yeah. My machine is, I think, 48 to 72 hours apart, unless you're doing green light for inflammation, which I think you can do more regularly. And sadly, you shouldn't be doing blue light too late at night before bed. This is my only one that I've recently really been...
Yeah.
This is recent for me as well. I have one that goes on your head, a little helmet one for hair loss. Yeah. The business has had some pros and cons in my life. That's unfortunately been one of the cons. And you just got to be careful when and where. Yeah.
Most of the at-home ones are significantly less powerful than in-salon ones. So that's why continuous use is important to see some results and benefits. And it's something you can use forever over your whole life.
They've got good staying power, don't they? They don't really, LED doesn't really tend to go. I mean, I use this machine 5 to 6 times a day, 5 to 6 days a week for 12 months. I haven't had to change a panel. And I mean, I've got the Australian cord internet converter plug, which always makes me panic. I've knocked the plug out numerous times. I'm always tripping over wires, and it's still my friend. So
we're a huge lover of LED. Yeah, I recommend it. And people think, oh, is it okay for rosacea? And they're scared.
Oh, there's a rosacea setting on there. That's the one that I missed out.
There we go. It's for everybody. It's for everyone. Okay, and so onto your new treatment that you are offering. Yes, the plasma pen. Tell us about that, how it works, who's it for, what does it do?
Very exciting plasma pen, but the most difficult part of this treatment is the downtime. It is visible, and because of that, it does take some planning. There are some people who are really not too fussy about showing off their dots. I think people tend to look a little bit like little avatars or caricatures. It's a little bit of having an Aboriginal painting on your face. I think it looks a little bit sexy. I quite like it. My girlfriend went home the other day with her whole forehead done, and I said, you look sexy. She went home and I said to her, the only thing I want to know is what your son has said to you. I'm obsessed with her one son who's super, super, super chatty and engaging. And Robbie turned around to her and said, Mom, I really like your decorations.
Oh my God. What Justine is referring to is when you get the plasma pen treatment, it's like a little kind of pinpoint device that kind of leaves little dots and marks on your skin just for a few days, and that's part of the treatment.
Correct. So the professional term for that is a carbon crust. And the reason why I wanted to just bring that out, so for people to understand, it is not a scab. We do not draw blood during this treatment. No, yeah. A lot of people think that when you're looking on Instagram and kind of looking up plasma pen before and afters, that the dots that you see on the person's face is a scab of blood. It is not. We are not drawing blood at all. How the devices actually work is, I don't explain this as well as a scientist. I had lunch with a girlfriend of mine at the cricket club on Sunday, and her husband explained my plasma pen better to me than I could. I nearly fell off my chair. He's got a background in engineering or something. And I was like, Chris, can you just come and explain that to my clients, please? So it's got a device that has a probe in it, which is quite similar to an acupuncture needle, but it's blunt, right? Because remember, we're not wanting to pierce the skin. It conducts electricity that as it hits atmospheric gas, as we actually sit above the skin, it creates an arc. So it looks like a little flash.
think about electricity coming from out of the sky, and as it hits the atmospheric gas, it causes lightning. We're making little lightnings on the skin.
You don't actually touch it.
Yeah, we're not actually touching it. And it's the same as lightning hitting earth and causing a mark on the soil, but you're not actually uprooting anything. Where this is kind of taking over the beauty world by storm right now is they're saying it's going to be one of the closest replacements to having upper and lower eyelid surgery, so blepharoplasty. If you have a look at all the other devices available on the market, laser IPL needling, RF, thermage, Althera, ultrasound, I think those are mainly the top 7 that I can think of. You are restricted to working right up until the eyelash line. Dermapen is probably the one that you can get closest to under the eyelash line, working at your lowest needle point of 0.2. But you are going to get a petechiae eye effect, which means you are going to get those little blood droplets that are just a little bit caught underneath the skin that are going to take a few days to dissipate and to come out. And you can work on the eyelid line, but you literally with the plasma pen device are working literally down to the eyelash line and literally up to the eyelash line. The whole concept behind it is you're still creating a thermal injury to the skin, and while you're working with a specific dot pattern that's meant to follow a similar pattern to what you see on the number 5 on a dice, although everyone's dot patterns will be slightly individualized according to the wrinkles and fine lines on a person's face. There's a way to work around those. The healthy skin around the dots is meant to come in and actually cannibalize and take over the injured skin and create new collagen stores and tighten up in that format and that pattern. So it's quite interesting. There is downtime. Once the dots wear off, there is still a little bit of textural discrepancy with the skin that takes time to smooth out. And I do find in Hong Kong we're a little bit restricted because we're wearing masks. So for those people wanting to do any work on the lower face, specifically working with the nasolabial folds or maybe working with underneath the chin, the sweat under the masks becomes a little bit of a challenge. So I do think this will certainly start picking up at the cooler end of the year. Working on the eyes and the forehead is actually quite easy, but obviously you're going to have textural changes on the skin for a couple of weeks. And the main thing is you cannot wet the area in any way, shape or form for 48 hours. So you just need to be a little bit more, you have to concentrate a little bit more with your cleansing. And if you are, we have a lot of very fit and healthy people in our CrossFit industry and training industry here that you can't sweat. So you literally 2 days of downtime.
I see. So the main, everyone has a minimum of 2 days of downtime where they cannot get wet.
Just the area that we've treated. So that's where I bring in a micellar water as a rinse-free cleansing option, or using sponges, really just being a little bit sunblock. We have an aftercare cream. And obviously, if you're going to be outdoors, I'm always an advocate for finding a hat that suits you and making it your best friend. Absolutely. Yeah.
So most people, how long until their skin is back to their regular state?
Everyone's individual, right? Yeah. So my girlfriend that I was talking to about, she came in last Friday to have her treatment. So you're generally in with me for 90 minutes. I do prep the skin with a minimum of 4 LED treatments 2 weeks before, just to get your cellular and function exactly where I want it to be. And I do have to do a review of your skincare. So if we're working on the eye area, I will have you on my eye cream with growth factor to prep and prime the skin.
This is how I love how comprehensive Justine is.
You can use that same one for your forehead as well. And if we're doing the neck, I want you on the neck cream to prep and prime your neck. It just means your post-recovery is going to be better. So she was in for 90 minutes on Friday. On Monday, she was like, dots still here? I said, yeah, it's only been 2 days. Tuesday, she's like, they're coming off. I was like, yeah, that's what it says in the consultation and pre and post care instructions. We're on track. And then she was like, it's still bumpy. I said, yeah, skin's healing. Skin's healing. And, sometimes, you will be in a situation people have had a little bit more of a histamine response. They are a little bit more itchy when you're healing is normal. You can take an antihistamine. You can put on a zinc sunblock to calm the skin down overnight. But everyone recovers, but they all have this little panic. And it's all to do with patience. And,
So it's quite a treatment. It's not something you just walk in off the street and come and try.
Absolutely not. I personally won't treat anyone like that. I need to do...
The results are incredible, I've seen.
The results are great, and the best result you're going to see is exactly 90 days after the treatment. You can do multiple treatments on one area, 8 to 12 weeks apart. So one of my other clients is prepping, her son's getting married overseas, so she's doing her under eye area, so that's our focus for her at the moment. But we've had it again. Give us more lead up time for weddings, please, people. So we're doing hers a little bit closer than normal, so 8 weeks apart, which is still fine, because we're not working at as higher energy level under the eyes as we would be on the forehead and the neck. But I will have some nice progression photos to share on my Instagram page with my girlfriend that came in on Friday. So she's been really gracious and generous with me and sharing some photos. So we'll be able to share those with you guys soon.
Perfect. So I wanted to ask you, because I feel like a lot of people suffer or have skin conditions or areas of their face they maybe don't like, but they just think, oh, I just need a facelift. That's what will fix it. And a lot of people aren't aware of what can be treated in a clinic, and you don't need to go under the knife. So I'm sure a lot of the treatments that we just talked about are the answers to these people's pain points and skin conditions. But what are some of the conditions and pain points that people have that they don't realize that can be treated by you and by clinics?
Give me an example.
Like jowls, or like things that people just think.
Jowls is a good one because
I just need a facelift. That's the only thing that will fix it. What do people not realize can be fixed by you?
I think there are. So I'm always going to try and not use the word fix, because fix means 100% resolution, and we're going to always look for improvement. Yeah, correction, improvement. Often people will come in and I can see that we're going to get resistance at some point of their skin, and I'll say to you, if you got 50% improvement, would you be happy with the investment? Or if you only got 70 to 80%, would you be happy with the investment? I need to see where they're at, what they're willing to pay, realistic expectations, right? Yeah. So injectables is a lot. I work with a couple of the injectors in Hong Kong where we'll work in combination. When you're working in combination with devices and injections, it works well together. Not everyone wants to have injectables, respect. However, if you're going to go down the route of having fillers and injectables, you still need a stable skin structure. You still need a nice collagen network in your skin to make sure that your Botox and your injectables stay and hold where they need to be, right? And this is the biggest failure I find with clients. They start having injectables and they suddenly think, this is a high ticket and high price item, so I'm not going to have as many facials anymore, and maybe I'm not going to invest in as high-end skincare product. And when their injectables and their face start to wear off and their Botox starts to wear off, their face starts to look even worse because they haven't maintained their cellular health. So the first thing I'll say is don't give up one for the other, make them work together. Then look at the devices that you can combine with them as well. For jowls and for what we call the V-line or the V-lift is a very popular treatment in Korea with ultrasound. A lot of the derms are working with the big machines called Althera. And then what we have in the treatment room is HIFU, so high intensity focused ultrasound, which is a more palatable version of Althera, but broken up over to multiple treatments versus one. And that is using ultrasound, which is delivered through 3 different cartridges that work at different levels under the skin, all the way down to your SMAS, which is your submuscular apneurotic system, so straight above your muscle mass. So you do feel a little bit tender the next day, like you've been chewing gum in your sleep, or maybe gone a couple of rounds with Mike Tyson. So that essentially can give you a good V-line lift. However, it's almost, you have to try, there's still no guarantee when you look at someone's face as to how effective it's going to be on that individual. And it's learning over time to understand which faces it works on. It's interesting with this machine, I find it highly successful on Asian skins because they already come with so much collagen in their dermal layer compared to us, right? But then There's the pros and cons. They have more difficulty with, skin staining such as pigmentation and blemishes from acne. All right, so there's pros and cons. We tend to fall down along here a lot quicker. And so with the HIFU, there's always a chance to try and lift, but we already are quite sharp, and the chins are how sharp do you want to be. So you've really got to try and look at your client's face and see where they want to be without cannibalizing their fat stores if they don't want that, checking that it's in line.
Cannibalizing their fat stores.
Well, if you're working with if you're overheating the face, you can melt fat.
And this is something that
So you need to be sitting with a thermometer. It's like, oh, welcome to COVID. We've been working with thermometers for years. I was like, oh my God, we've got 10 of those in the treatment room. With the same thermometers, right? So you've got to know the difference between working at 39 and working at 42. 39 is collagen production. 38, 39 is collagen production. 42 is fat
melting, basically.
yeah, it's lipolysis. And if you're not sitting checking temperatures all the time, you're going to have issues with the skin, especially with body. And if you're doing an area here, are you looking to tighten the skin, or are you looking at melting the fat? Do you want to start with melting the fat and then get them back in for tightening the skin? You've got to know your differences and exactly where you're working. So if you're going to go into a clinic where they are working like dummies and doing their job like monkey does, you're not going to get the results, and they're going to say, that's a crap machine. Well, it's not the machine. It's down to how the therapist uses those machines. Those machines, all my equipment is, bar my LED machine and my Dermapen, from my best friends really, from Korea and from Israel. I highly respect the devices and machineries that come out of those countries, the trends, the medical knowledge, and so I try and work with what works. My machines are an extension of me. If I go with below subpar machines, how does that reflect on me as a therapist? So go with state of the art, spend a little bit more, know that you're going to get results, and know that your clients are going to be happy.
What you said about the fat collagen cannibalism, something like this. Yeah, this really struck a chord with me, because as where we live in Hong Kong, in Asia, a lot of Asian women are looking to slim and V and contour their face. And when I hear these treatments, and I'm like, keep those things away from me. I want all the fat and puffy and fullness in my face as possible, because
you're going to lose it over time.
Exactly, because I know I'm going to lose it. So as Westerners, we lose our youthfulness and fat in our face. And so
culturally, though, in the Asian community, they are born with very different shaped faces to us, and they are slightly more square, and they have a slightly stronger mandibular muscle here. They wanting the V shape. So it's also important to choose who you go to inject your face at, to make sure they understand what a Western face wants. I've been to injectors that have wanted to take away my contour in my face, because Asians don't want to. I want my gaunt contour. That's something I like in my face, and I've had it taken out before, and I've been mortified. Give it back to me. So you've got to always know what your client wants as well. But it's not that much of a science. There are some amazing injectors. There's a woman that I follow in the Ukraine, and what she can do with filler in terms of a liquid face job. It's called a liquid nose job and a liquid facelift.
I have looked at those liquid nose jobs.
It's fascinating. But then you've also got to understand what you can combine with the treatments in my room and not. It's nothing worse than someone coming to me and saying to me, oh, no, I was so excited. I had my Botox done yesterday. I can't treat you today, doll. I need 2 weeks. And you've always got to have a 2-week gap between any treatment you've had with a dermal dermatologist, plastic surgeon, before you can go back into an esthetician's treatment room. I don't want to displace any of your Botox or filler. I don't want to be responsible for that. And also there's lots of treatments, depending on where your filler sits in your skin, with the heats and the ultrasounds and the different frequencies, that can make the shelf life of what you've just paid a hell of a lot for a lot shorter. So cards all need to be on the table in that treatment room. Yes. No secrets, especially the pregnancy card. Please just tell me if you're pregnant.
Yes.
Please, it's the one thing. I am touching your skin. I need to know. I like my privilege. It's quite nice. It's very exciting. Yeah.
Okay, so we have some listener questions that we will answer now, like quick fire round answering their questions. So we have Jocelyn, I think. Jocelyn, yes. If you have a limited budget, what are the essentials for spending your money and what can you scrimp on? Scrimp. I think she's talking
about ingredients and skincare or treatments.
Well, you could take that either way, but let's pick one for time-wise.
I'm going to go with skincare because skincare is at least 70 to 80% of getting your cellular health of your skin functioning well, and treatments in the treatment room are boosts. And they're a luxury in many parts of the world. Like in Australia, a facial is a luxury. In Hong Kong, it's a necessity. It's the mindset of moving from Australia to here and seeing how facials are just part of everyday life. It blew me away. It blew me away. We would save to go for a facial in Australia. Here it's like, oh, my facial's due.
Yeah, after work I'm going to get one.
Yeah, just my facial's due. But I get it. High stress, pollution, etc. So, Joss, let's answer your question for you. The way I look at skin is I look at skin, and my clients will know this from me, is like a Sudoku puzzle. A Sudoku puzzle has 9 numbers, and you've got to everyone has 9 numbers to do with their skin. So if we look at the 9 numbers, each number is a certain thing. It's a cleanser. It's a style of exfoliation for your skin type. It is vitamin A, vitamin C, and or an antioxidant. It is hydration, so HA, or your B vitamins. It is SPF, what kind, chemical or mineral, and there are a few extra others that you can slot in along there. You need to get all those boxes checked, but you need to choose the right cleanser for your skin type in the right climate, and you need to use the right percentage of vitamin A at the right frequency for your skin type. You need to find the right antioxidant for your skin type. And Joss, I know your skin specifically would not respond well to a vitamin C powder, but I know that you could use resveratrol instead as an antioxidant because you have a sensitive skin that almost mimics a rosacea style response from time to time. So it's trying to get all those boxes checked. But the main thing is all the way back to the very basic studies of what is laws of corneotherapy, is when we're looking at the topmost layer of your skin, where your corneocytes sit, and they need to sit in puzzle pieces that fit perfectly together. If those puzzle pieces are not sitting together and they've got cracks in them, firstly, you're going to lose a lot of your natural fluids. It's called transepidermal water loss. You're also going to allow products to penetrate into the skin and just pathogens from around the air, and they're going to penetrate down possibly into your bloodstream where they're actually not meant to be and cause an inflammatory response where you're going to think, I'm allergic to that. So first and foremost, you do want to get your hydration correct. You want to solidify your barrier and then start working on your anti-aging components of your Sudoku puzzle. So it's getting everything right for your skin type in the climate that you are. So check back in if you're traveling to the snow. What needs to change? How does it need to change? How do you need to upgrade? Do you need to stop something? Do you need to replace something? So it's always just keeping those things in checks and balances for me. Yeah.
Tori asked, how frequently should we use retinol in our 40s? I'm doing it every other night, by the way. Waiting 20 minutes and then adding a facial oil.
Hi, Tori. She's one of my favorite.
How frequently should we use retinol in our 40s?
I don't think that age is relative to vitamin A. I think vitamin A is just dependent on skin type, how much you can tolerate it, and it is a step-up system like we explained about going to the gym, squats and weights, starting at a low percentage on, say, a Monday and Thursday, then on to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. I generally will just give my clients a format to follow so they don't have to do guesswork for themselves because that's just too hard. And we kind of go from there. It really, for certain skincare brands, we're going to try and see if we can build you up to 7 days a week. If we've got you at 7 days a week, and you're not getting any of the downtime that is commonly associated with vitamin A, which is redness, dryness, itchy, peely, or tenderness of the skin when you're putting on sunblock, we then think, okay,
we need to hit you up a certain percentage. So then we try, hit you up a certain percentage, put you on a stronger vitamin A product for your next time, or we bounce it in. So as you're finishing one, you're bouncing in a stronger product, but then we go back to your old rotation, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So it's kind of, it's a cycle that we play with until you get to the point where you know your skin can't tolerate any longer. That's your sweet spot. You plateau. That's you. You're done.
So it's okay to plateau out and just
stay there. Don't come off your vitamin A. Your skin cells will reverse in behavior. However, with vitamin A, obviously it's the same rule applies. If you are changing climate, fall pregnant, something changes with your hormones, you're under stress, your skin gets a sunburn, something else happens that is a variable that changes your skin, vitamin A might need to be controlled differently for a temporary period of time.
Yeah. Okay. So it's never black and white.
No.
Miss Norman, what do you think of devices such as NuFace?
NuFace, I'd need to actually see the device itself because I don't know if that means it's a roller or if it's a silicone brush. I don't know if it's a brand or if it's a specific device, and forgive me on that because I'm not a big device person because of what we spoke about earlier. My brands do actually stock devices, and I've had one for years, but I've lost the charger. Guess what? I still keep it in my shower to remind me what an idiot I am. It sits in my shower. It does not work. I need to actually phone them and I need to take it to the place and One Chai Computer Center can fix this, I'm sure. So again, my main thing with devices is with certain devices, the ones that came out were the Clarisonics were the first one. I remember when the Clarisonic came out, my first thing was this designed by a man? Sorry, everyone. But I was like, there's one head with one brush. There is not one skin type. What is going on here? It was too aggressive for some people. There was not enough clarity on how to dry your brush. It was getting moldy. There was bacteria overnight. It wasn't drying. I was not a happy camper. Oh, and then suddenly 3 months later, all these different brush heads came out. And everyone was like, it's a marketing ploy. I said, no, it's not. It's correct. But they're no longer on the market.
They're off the market.
Right? Okay. Then came the silicone heads, which I think are still quite popular on the market. I know I pop on Sephora from time to time. I've got a Korean client of mine who's obsessed with the devices. She's like, Justine, can you look up this one? I was like, yes, Kim, let me humor you. It's all down to consistency of use. Please don't think that a home care device replaces exfoliation. It's an advanced cleansing tool. It does not replace, I've stopped exfoliating, but can you feel your skin's feeling crunchy and built up? It doesn't replace exfoliation. It's an advanced cleansing tool. And the added benefits are things like microcirculation, which I love. Yeah. So use it consistently, but make sure you know what it's capped at doing for yourself. Yeah. And make sure that if they need replacing, and that you replace them properly, like a toothbrush. You're not going to use a dodgy old toothbrush. The manufacturer's guidelines. Yeah.
So, Cyan? Shan? Been in Hong Kong for It's not really a question, but it's more of a compliment, but I will still share it with you. How are you so beautiful, and what made you so passionate about all things skin? But I think you answered that really well at the beginning about your beautiful grandma and everything.
Yeah, I also think that I've ended up marrying my job. My clients have become my children. Adult children, I can't say are always that easy, but there's a lot of gratification I get out of my business. And for someone that's grown up with a lot of self-worth issues, and for someone who's never and not always confident and comfortable in her own skin, to be able to help women with their journey along the way feel more comfortable in their own skin and more confident along the way, it's been very rewarding. It gives me a reason to wake up and come to work every day that is beyond money going into the bank. I feel very privileged and blessed to be where I am today, and it's been a great ride. And there are days where I'm desperate to go home because I'm homesick, but I just don't know how to leave what I have. Yeah. So I do have to say I'm very grateful to the clientele that I have. Coming to work is like going on dates all day, but just with women.
Oh my God.
It's easy. It's like, what do we talk about today?
Yeah.
P.S. I'm also going to fix your skin at the same time.
I know. It's like that with my clients
I'm
too.
lucky. Yeah, you get it.
It's fun with them, and you give a lot of energy to each client. It's tiring, and people are like, just don't make up all day. It's like, but you know, we have fun together. It's like a bit like going on dates. You get to know each other, and
Some dates don't always work.
yes, everyone's personality is different. You might not see them again. They might come back.
And when I go home, I'm very happy that my cats don't speak English because I get quiet time.
Rest your mouth a bit.
My one's a bit verbal, but it's it's always an enjoyable day at work. There are challenges like with any job, but they make you stronger and they make you learn more about yourself. Yeah.
Yasna said, what treatments are good for rosacea?
Rosacea is a tricky one because you need to know you need to know a little bit more about the client's individual circumstances, and you need to do a lot of relationship management back to gut health. A lot of the time there's an essential fatty acid deficiency, so we need to look at a lot of fish oil supplements, gut support, probiotics, things like that, as well as essential fatty acids topically on the skin, and keeping the routine as calm and consistent as possible. Obviously it's really difficult to avoid extreme temperatures in Hong Kong. I do sometimes feel it's best in this situation to try and work simultaneously with a naturopath, because that's their area of qualifications and expertise. And whilst I have done my entry levels into naturopathy, because I actually started that route before I went into skincare but didn't complete, whilst I'm able to talk on it, I'm not fully qualified. And as I said earlier, knowing where to draw a line in the sand as to where your jurisdiction is, I think is important. So I think it's quite a holistic experience when it comes to rosacea, but really keeping your skincare routine what I call quite bland and beige and boring, to the point that you're going to get bored.
Is what's best for it.
People kind of, same with sometimes with relationships and marriages, I think that people mistake consistency for boring. Consistency is important. It keeps us stable. Stability is important. So it all comes back to skincare as well. A lot of the time I actually want them to be mimicking the same routine morning and night. Step 1 through to step 4 is the same step 1 through to step 4 at night, to the point that I'm like, your bathroom's not going to look as glamorous, it's not going to look like mine does at home, like a retail store, but you can fill it with candles. But it's just, it's looking at a very more simplified skincare routine and focusing a lot more on getting that gut health functioning well for you. Yeah.
Would you recommend a treatment like LED?
Yes, absolutely.
It's just calming. It's very, I think that's the one that comes to my mind. That's something that just, I feel like you can do that.
I have one of my clients who, she's been with me now from when she was single, and she's now pregnant with her 3rd child. So she's been with me for quite some time, and severe rosacea sufferer, although amazing when she's pregnant, her skin is off the charts glowy and amazing. But she just sticks with her LED packages. She recently changed into a much more client-facing and higher position job in the banks, and she's face forward all the time, and she just makes it a priority to come in either once a week or every 2 weeks, sticks herself under the machine, and that's the way she manages her skin. It works.
It is. It's highly calming. It's so calming. Charing, last listener question. Charing asked, how to reduce under eye fine lines?
Back to Plasmapen at this stage would be my answer. However, just understanding that under the lines you do lose your fat pads under your eyes, do migrate down with that horrible thing called the aging process, and you do get left with a trough. So if you're looking at the fine lines due to a loss of volume, then I might suggest looking at under eye filler as a alternative to recreate that fat pad. Otherwise, Plasmapen as well, or a combination of the two. Do be consistent with your eye creams. Whilst eye creams there's no magic eye cream out there. Ask my mum, she's tried every single one of them. Oh gosh, she's obsessed. She hasn't got to my Plasmapen yet. Consistency is key, and the fine lines, it's really a lot to do with hydration and sleep. Massively with sleep. Yeah. We do have a lot of the
the eye patches that come with the O Cosmetics brand, which are amazing to wear. The collagen eye patches, the native collagen eye patches that do help with improvement. So just getting some kind of advanced eye care routine more consistent at home, you're going to see a little bit more improvement. But yeah, there's some of the basics: sleep, hydration.
Yeah. So you might recommend the plasma pen to start with, and then eventually it would be fillers.
Yeah, depending if it's coming, those fine lines are
From hollowness rather than facial movements. Yeah. Yeah. But facial movements are good.
I agree. We can't all look like Madame Tussauds wax models.
Nor do we want to.
No.
So tell me, I know you are launching a new product very soon to your lineup.
Which one?
Your sleep masks.
So the sleep mask,
Which one? You have many?
No, sleep. It's actually a physical sleep mask that we were so I've collaborated with Revital. I delved more into the relationship with sleep and skin at the beginning of this year, where I was having some personal challenges with sleep myself, and one of my kind of gurus who I find quite interesting in Hong Kong is Ed Haynes of Coastal Fitness, who is a bit of a sleep freak and a bit of a freak when it comes to routine, being in the fitness industry and coaching his brother, who's one of the top CrossFitters globally. His life is led a lot by routine, and I eventually reached out to him and I'm like, I need some help on sleep. And just watching how your body functions after a little bit more sleep, I was like, but Ed, I can't fit everything into the day, plus have 7.5 hours sleep. So how about if I just do the 5? He's like, no, Justine, you can't just do 5 hours sleep. I was like, but why? I said, because if I can't do my walk, then I'm going to get fat. He was like, Justine, if you don't sleep enough, you're going to get fat. I was like, I was like, oh. And so it just became a knock-on effect. So I teamed up with Revital, who have an amazing website, and you can have a look at their different treatments and meditations, and I think they do some different courses and products that enhance and work with sleep. And so we don't know if it's going to be a permanent product, but it was actually launched as a gift with purchase for celebrating Skin HQ's 1 year anniversary, which was last week, for people who were, thank you, yeah, 2nd of June. For people who were coming in, we do offer packages as a way for people to alleviate their finances a little bit more when they're having treatments in the treatment room and they want to invest long-term in their skin. And as a gift with purchase, we have a beautiful sleep mask. But what's special about this, not only how soft and beautiful the fabric is it actually has crystal insert, which comes in they elements that and crystals that actually had loads of different scientific work done on them that's meant to enhance your sleep. And it's a flat insert, so don't think about like crystal balls rolling around your mask in your sleep. That inserts into the back of the mask, and they can also be used with little drops of oils and diffusers on the actual insert, so it's not staining your mask, and that can be used overnight. So that's what we've just launched. We've only got a limited amount of stock, about 40 of them, and so you know, I'm not selling them as individual items, but they're there as a gift with purchase. Yeah.
So like a really hacked, amped up type of mask.
Yes, I think there are definitely difficulties with completely blocking out the light in your room.
In Hong Kong, I have a street light right outside.
Yeah, but not only that, I had a new air conditioning unit put in my room in about 2 months ago. And yes, I've got the little cracks that due to the shape of the windows in my building, it's one of those really old buildings. On this air conditioning unit is this massive, bright, beautiful color, but still, this like
Who cares when you're sleeping?
it's like an alien ship's coming down from the heavens. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, what's going on? It's like this bright green, blue LED light on it that says, yes, I'm on and functioning, but I do not need an alien spaceship in my room. I need to get up and put a sticker on there, which I've clearly need to get done. But it's just going into understanding, you know, melatonin activation, understanding, you know, not having blue LED light in your mask at home before you go to bed, using blue light glasses and things like that. And there's some very interesting CBD skincare ranges available on the market that I'm looking into at the moment that really counteract that melatonin suppressant from blue light when you use them in the evening on your skin. So watch this space.
Okay, we will. We will. Thank you. Well, that comes to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
I know between you and I, we could keep going for another 3 hours.
We will after the cameras are off. There's so much to talk about. We would definitely have to have you on the show again. I'm sure there was lots of things to talk about. So thank you for coming and chatting with us today.
Thank you for making this easy. I've been a little bit nervous today.
Don't worry. We're all friends here. So don't forget to check out Justine on Instagram at skinhq.hk. Yeah. And if you have any questions for us, please hit us up on Instagram or on my Facebook group. And if you liked this podcast episode, please leave a review on whatever platform you are listening on. And while you are listening to this show, we would love you to take a screenshot and tag us on Instagram so we can see who is listening to the episode. Yes, it's always nice to see who's listening, right? Yeah. And
should we do a giveaway?
We should, yes. Would you? You're so nice, Justine. Okay. Which one is she going to choose for you girls?
I think.
What has she got? By the way, Justine's space is so beautiful. It's very small, boutique.
A little oasis in Hong Kong.
An oasis, exactly. Exactly. Oasis.
I kind of feel like if I need to be here more than I am in my own home, I want it to feel like as comfortable as my own home. And so I've kind of set it up hoping that my clients feel the same way. So I think we're all on our feet quite a bit in Hong Kong. And one of the things that I recently brought in from one of my brands in Australia, who are a neurocosmetic based brand, meaning it's kind of botanical meets active skincare. So it's a stepping stone to moving into the active skincare world. And for those that maybe want to stay still connected to the botanical world, is Ginger and Me. And this is very similar to the Korean baby foot peel. So this one is our Ginger and Me foot peel. So if you are listening, and how do you want to do it? How did you want to do it? Did you want them to send a photo, tag
us on Instagram, screenshot the episode that you listened to the end, and we'll maybe like in 2 weeks announce the winner. I can add all the details down on Instagram. And thank you, Justine.
You're welcome.
So nice. I hope one of you girls win that. And and that's it. Thank you so much again for coming on the show, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.